Hi, my name is Dwayne Gathers, and welcome to Civitas LA, featuring diverse and emerging leaders who make up this dynamic region and are creating community every day and building a better tomorrow. These bi-weekly conversations enable us to hear from, learn from, and be inspired by a new generation of civic entrepreneurs who are forging a path forward in making our region a stronger, more resilient, and connected group of citizens. Our goal is to elevate civic discourse, foster community connections, and promote civic knowledge and engagement across the greater Los Angeles region while elevating diverse and emerging voices in that conversation. For Civitas LA, this month of November has been a great opportunity to focus on our community's entrepreneurs as we have celebrated National Entrepreneurship Month. And we are reminded of the words from a White House proclamation which notes this month as a time to, quote, celebrate entrepreneurs who combine passion, resilience, and ingenuity to solve hard problems and create products and businesses that improve our lives. We've been delighted to have on this series with us Danny Klein-Modisette, founder and CEO of Laughter on Call for episode 79, and most recently the Jones sisters, Leah, Leslie, and Leanne, owners of Hype Hair Magazine and co-owners of 1010 Wine and Events in Inglewood for episode 80. So as we conclude this amazing series, I am delighted to be joined in studio by someone who's here to share a new resource and platform for entrepreneurs, Quentin Strode, President and CEO of New Community Investments. Quentin joins us to share and introduce us to Impresario, an innovative crowdsourced capital access solution aimed at furthering the mission of building economic development and financial sustainability among women, minority, and veteran-owned entrepreneurs in underserved communities across our region. Quentin, welcome to Civitas LA this morning.
All right, welcome. Thank you, Mr. Gathers.
Well, it's Dwayne.
I'm just being formal.
Quentin, I've known you a little bit over the years, so it's great to connect on this platform and for you to share your expertise. Quentin, on Civitas LA, we always like for our guests to share a brief personal introduction.
I'm Quentin Strode. I'm a trained banker. I spent 30 years in the banking industry, First Interstate Bank, Bank of America, and U.S. Bank. Decided a few years ago that I wanted to do something that was a little closer to the community. And so I started to do work really around underserved communities and how we could figure out ways to help small businesses grow, sustain, and generate the kind of wealth that, in some cases, people take for granted.
Outstanding. Well, Quentin, we look forward to learning more about that and that journey from large corporate banking to what you're doing now. But before we get started, we always love the lightning round. The lightning round's the toughest part of the conversation.
Okay.
But it allows us to get to know you a little bit better and get to know your Los Angeles. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. We love eating on Civitas LA. Give us a favorite restaurant or two.
Oh, man, I knew you would ask that. Harold and Bell's one.
Okay.
Off Vine, actually. There's another one right here in Hollywood.
You know, we love Harold and Bell's, and it's been referenced a number of times, but this is the first time we've had Off Vine mentioned, so we love Off Vine. Yeah. Give us a favorite place to take a sip, whether that's coffee, tea, a cocktail, vino.
You know, I just discovered the District on Crenshaw.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I was actually pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
And I went there for an event a couple weeks ago, and I've actually gone back 3 times.
Oh, outstanding.
So, if it's the drinks, which were amazing, the chicken wings are outstanding. Okay. So I'd like to give them a nice plug as well.
Absolutely. Give us a favorite place to take a visitor.
Favorite place to take a visitor? San Antonio Wineries.
In downtown LA.
Downtown LA.
Yeah. Okay.
Oldest winery in this part of California. Typically, if people are visiting and I'm trying to give them a feel for LA, I'll take them there for lunch or something like that.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
You know, we love our open space here in LA. And I don't know if you're a hiker or not, but give us a favorite park or a hike.
I live in the foothills of Silmar-Cagle Canyon. And so there are hiking trails surrounding me in every direction.
Oh, nice.
So I have the benefit of having that.
Excellent.
And that's, if I'm getting out and walking, I'm seeing nature. You know, that we live amongst mountain lions and bears and everything imaginable in the little section of LA that we live in.
That's amazing.
And I enjoy it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we're so excited that community events are happening again and people are coming together to form and create and build community. Give us a favorite community activity or event.
Brotherhood Crusade Dinner is something that I look forward to every year. I supported the Brotherhood Crusade as a banker 30 years ago. I still go to that event every year. Actually, I've lived all over the country, during my banking career, and during the times that I wasn't here living in LA, I'd actually fly back for that event. That's a nice one. It's great. A very, very nice one.
Excellent. Well, Quentin, that's great. Now let's dig into our conversation. As we've been celebrating this month, National Entrepreneurship Month, we've referenced the guests that we've had on already. Share with us your take on entrepreneurship. What does that mean to you?
Oh, man. Entrepreneurship to me is the game changer. If you look at people who have spent their lives as entrepreneurs and are good at it, they are typically wealthier at the end of their careers than folks who just had a job and a 401k. So some of my work at this point is really focused on the community and helping to generate stronger entrepreneurs in ways that the job creation and retention that you would expect to happen in a community happens because of the small entrepreneurs. So you take LA as an example, we had Goodyear plants and Boeing plants and GM plants that were scattered all over the community. And those corporations employed a lot of people. Those corporation suppliers also employ even more people. We don't have that anymore.
Right.
So we are faced with a void of, how do you create those jobs that are good jobs? And I think the clear picture of how you approach it is to figure out a way to create strong entrepreneurs in South LA and then in San Fernando Valley and places like that. And that job creation piece and things of that nature coming from those small companies are the game changer. I think we can change communities by changing them from the standpoint of generating good jobs. And as a community of people, whether you're African American or Hispanic or Asian for that matter, we spend enough money that we could actually make some businesses successful. So, taking some time and spending money with some of these small guys will be the things that actually benefit communities in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned you've had several decades of experience, particularly with large corporate banking, and now in your own words you transitioned to focus on quote unquote the smallest of the small businesses. How have you made this transition, and why you made this transition?
As a banker, I think I saw small businesses that struggled. And some of it may have been just, an understanding of how to present themselves to a bank. So I've been keen on figuring out ways to train businesses to do that. Attracting people who are busy in their, lives running their business is a challenge. And, me figuring out a way to get people into our ecosystem around the training piece has been a major challenge for us because, we're taking time away from, people making money. But the people that we've touched have benefited in a big way. During the pandemic, during the beginning of COVID, we were starting up a women's business center in the San Fernando Valley, the new women's business center in the San Fernando Valley. And we opened our doors literally as COVID really hit and things started to shut down.
Right.
So we shifted gears from planning on having, lots of face-to-face training to training online, doing through Zoom meetings or Microsoft Teams or whatever. And within 60 days, we were doing 160 webinars a month. We're still doing around 100 webinars a month. So webinars won't go away. It actually will give our client base some flexibility to come in and pick up nuggets, not expecting people to just take everything that we're putting on the table and putting it in place, but they can pick up something that would benefit them here or there out of those interactions, and that's going to actually help us as we grow our business going forward. Yeah. We've touched in 2 years, we touched about 15,000 businesses. If you just stack that up, that's something approaching 5% of the businesses in San Fernando Valley. Right. So we're making a significant impact. We got to figure out a way to make those metrics come alive for us as we approach funders. But we are having a significant impact.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because certainly, one of the conversations that we had previously with someone who you may know, Karen Clark from City National Bank, I believe episode 56, and talking about, the role banks have played in underserved communities, investing in, divesting from, but the key is, having that relationship with a banker is so crucial. But another conversation that I want to touch on is one that we had a short while ago with Tanua Thrash Entook from the Center by Landistry.
Yeah.
And we had that conversation during Black Business Month, actually. Okay. And we talked about how in California, there are about 99% of businesses are categorized as small businesses. Right. And while African Americans make up roughly 8% of the population, African Americans own roughly 2% of businesses. So start by sharing your perspective as a banker who's operated across the state and country. Give us your take on the state of small minority-owned businesses in our state or in our region, here in Los Angeles in particular.
I see growth opportunities. I see opportunities to increase that 2% to something higher. With downsizing in corporations, you have people that are either retiring or stepping away and starting businesses. And folks who are walking out of corporate America are actually bringing real skills. So they're going to have an opportunity to be more successful than some people that just have an idea. But there is no shortcomings around ideas in our community across Los Angeles. And if you look at South LA or the San Fernando Valley or East LA for that matter, I think the next billionaire entrepreneur will come out of one of those communities. Look at Ring doorbells as an example. It was an idea that started in someone's garage, and it's grown now to, I think he exited at something above $3 billion. So
wasn't Ring purchased by Amazon?
Ring was purchased by Amazon, exactly. Yeah. So there is no shortness of ideas. We have great ideas that are coming out of our communities. What we in a lot of cases don't have is the capital base to get them going. There are not enough venture capitalists that are focused on underserved communities, which is sort of the entry into us creating Impresario as a crowdfunding platform to help people get that initial capital to get themselves going.
So let's talk about that because another person who you may know, of course, is B. Stotzer of New Economics for Women, who joined us graciously for episode 44. And we talked about their work, not only around affordable housing to support the economic well-being of women, but also some of their initiatives around entrepreneurship. And I don't believe at that time when B joined us, which was, I want to say, September of last year, New Community Investments had even started at that point in time. Yeah. So tell us about the genesis of New Community Investments, which you lead, and the subsequent development of this particular platform.
Yeah, New Community Investments was created about 4 years ago. So we are a lending platform that at this point is making microloans to small businesses. So if you needed a loan of $500 to $50,000, we would be a partner in doing some work like that. As we've grown in ways where we wanted to supplement lending with technical assistance or training. So we have the Women's Business Center in the San Fernando Valley. We have the East LA Los Angeles Business Source that is a contract that we just got. We've also done some work with the U.S. Department of Commerce, and that work is really focused on training businesses internationally. We haven't signed a contract yet, but we've done a lot of work to get there, and at this point, just kind of waiting for the contract to happen. So in a nutshell, we have a lending platform that we wanted to create things that actually complemented that lending platform. So we're a one-stop shop. We run LA's Kiva program. Kiva is an international funding program for small businesses that you can get in Los Angeles. You can get up to $15,000 in a loan at 0% interest. So we run that program as well. And actually, we took that program over in July of 2021, and within the last 16 months have actually made it the top Kiva program in the country. So that, those things have actually helped us to look at the way that we're touching the community and having products that, again, complement the work that we're doing in training to, at the end of the training process, actually have access to capital as sort of the crowning jewel.
And on Civitas LA, we always want to know, more about the community served by the products and services that you're offering. So talk about the target audience for these products and services that we're talking about here today.
Yeah, we are keenly targeting underserved communities. So San Fernando Valley, as an example, it's the 5th largest city in the country if you separate it from the city of Los Angeles. Huge opportunities there, but not a lot of partners who were doing training in the San Fernando Valley. So you look at the San Fernando Valley as sort of the center of the universe for the work that we're doing.
Yeah. And when we think about the San Fernando Valley, it's a large geographic area. I assume not the West Valley. Any specific communities within the San Fernando Valley you can point to?
Canoga Park, primarily Canoga Park.
Okay.
We actually have an office in Canoga Park. Van Nuys, we have an office in Van Nuys as well. We're buying a building in Reseda.
Nice.
So we're actually going to consolidate some of our operations into that building in Reseda. But that's primarily where we're focused. Yeah. But we also, because of our SBA contract, we have the entire county of Los Angeles. So we do a lot of work in Long Beach. We do work in the outer limits of East Los Angeles around, Pomona and Laverne. We're beginning to do some work in San Gabriel. And just about 8 months ago, I opened an office in Palmdale, Lancaster.
Okay.
So we're doing work in Palmdale, Lancaster as well.
So it's all here in Los Angeles County.
It's all here in Los Angeles County. But we attract people from all over the country, which is also interesting. So there are a number of businesses in Chicago and in New York and New Jersey and Atlanta who come into our platform just because they need support. At the beginning of the pandemic, I did weekly presentations around funding, because everybody was looking for grant funding or everybody was looking for support with an SBA PPP loan or an EIDL loan. And we were a good place for people to come and just get good information. So I did that every Friday. As we grew, and with the way that we had people sign up for those webinars, we picked up people from all over the United States.
And how large is the new community investments team that you have working with you?
A total of about 27 right now. A total of about 20, and it's not enough. So for any funders that are out there, I'm as much as I'm trying to run this team, I'm also constantly raising money as well. Yeah.
Well, Quentin, I know you serve on the board of a number of local community economic development groups, and oftentimes I think we hear in Los Angeles, or at least I hear from businesses, they don't know where to turn, yet there are a lot of resources out there. And so I'm always interested in the collaboration and partnership between organizations. So how do you all complement the work of, say, for example, a Vermont Slauson Economic Development Corporation or a, Coalition for Responsible Community Development? How do you align your services with what's already being offered out there?
No, I'm glad you mentioned Vermont Slauson. They're one of the best organizations in the city that's doing real work on the ground. We are founding members of the South Los Angeles CDFI Collective or Collaborative.
And for our audience that may not know that acronym, please.
CDFI is Community Development Financial Institution.
Okay.
So we are all organizations that make loans, small business loans, that banks in most cases can't make. So Vermont Slauson, LA Urban League, USC Credit Union, CDC Small Business Finance, AMPAC. There are a number, and I've said all of those names, and I didn't say everyone, so I apologize if I didn't catch everyone. But
don't worry, this is not an Academy Awards.
It's not.
We need to mention everybody.
Yeah. But if you go into or Google South LA CDFI Collaborative, we have a website, and our work complements each other. Vermont Slauson does a lot of training, and they do lending. We do a lot of training, and we do lending. The Urban League is, sort of the traditional organization for LA that's a catch-all. We all are really focused on areas in the community where we can do good work, and we can do good work together. So if I have something that we approach that we just can't do for whatever reason, I have 9 partners that I can put things out to that they may be able to do it, or we may be able to figure out a way to do it together. Lendistry, as an example, is a partner with us in the CDFI Collaborative as well. So, with the work that Tunua and Everett are doing, it just all fits. It just all fits.
That's great. And how do you go about finding people for your programs, and how do people go about finding you? Share with our audience how potential budding entrepreneurs with an idea can go about finding you.
Yeah, if you go into the New Economics for Women website, that's the place to start. You can Google New Economics for Women. After you get into the website, it's an About Us. Click on About Us, and you can be highlighted for our work with small businesses under the Entrepreneurial Hub. So we have a number of resources in the hub that a person who needs support can click on. Whether it's you're a woman business who needs support, or you're in East LA and you need support as a business owner, or if you're looking for access to funding, we have Kiva as a part of that I talked about earlier. We have our lending products that I also talked about earlier, and then we have Impresario.
And can you and does the idea have to be formulated by the time I show up at your doorstep, or can I just say, I've got this idea and I just want to run it by someone and go on my merry way?
We get a lot of that.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be formulated. Okay. As a part of our training, we help people do business plans. And we can kind of create a journey for an entrepreneur that helps them to get that idea formulated. Or if they actually have strong ideas, we could help them really building out their pro formas to, if they're presenting it to an investor group, or if they're presenting their idea to a bank, or, if they're presenting it to a CDFI for that matter. We actually help people get ready for those conversations, that are going to happen at some point down the road.
Yeah, that's great. One of the, we've talked about obviously the training and the access to capital, but I'm mindful of another conversation, and I always love when conversations sort of touch on each other from episode to episode. And I go back to episode 73, Women Building Community, and our guests talked about some of the difficulties that women and people of color particularly have in securing capital. But on our most recent episode, part of National Entrepreneurship Month, we had 3 sisters, Leanne, Leslie, and Leah from Inglewood, and one of the sisters talked about, other than access to capital, one of the key things that they thought was critically important for them, that they would want to see as small business entrepreneurs, was the idea of mentorship. And so what are your thoughts on mentorship, and is that a component that's provided by New Community Investments or Impresario platform?
Yeah, it is a component that we provide. We have a couple ways that you can do it. We have mentors who are here locally. We've also contracted, we actually haven't done anything with them yet, but we've actually contracted with an organization called Micro Mentor.
How does that work?
And Micro Mentor is an online mentorship program that actually has subject matter experts in just about every business line that you can think about. We pay them to support our small business owners. And we haven't made that contract come alive yet. I've actually paid for it, but we're still going back and forth on how to engage them, in a way that benefits our clients. We'll have that up and running at the first of the year.
Yeah, excellent.
So between what they get at the Women's Business Center or what they get at East LA Business Source or what they get personally from me, because I'll spend a good chunk of my day every day mentoring small businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, excellent. And I know you've partnered with a number of organizations. You've mentioned a whole host of them, including the Lendustry. But I see you have City National Bank and Chase, and including some of our leading educational institutions like USC and LA Trade Tech.
Right.
So tell us about these partnerships and what types of partnerships and collaboration are you looking forward to or looking for to grow the work that you're trying to do?
Yeah, some of the work earlier on, 5 years ago, was really around incubating small businesses. So we have a number of small business incubators in the city. Most of them are on the west side, and most of them are focused on tech. I think we can incubate businesses in the underserved communities by creating partnerships with organizations like LA Trade Tech or LACC in Hollywood, that's not far from here, or Mission College in the Valley. And so we take an underserved community and be really surgical about the work that we're doing and hopefully attract small businesses who are either existing businesses who want to grow or businesses who just have an idea that they want to build on it. We partner with USC on a program called TESSA, the Entrepreneurship Startup Academy.
Okay.
We are in our third year of that program. We just launched our newest cohort, and the first webinar had 180 people on it.
Wow.
That's the biggest one that we've done.
What's the role of the university? Are they providing professors, or how does that work?
University are providing interns to support the small businesses and helping them with marketing plans, helping them with finances, helping them to build out their accounting systems, things of that nature. Very, very talented students. That program is actually one of the most successful that we have. We have to raise money for it, so USC contributes and we contribute as well. But that's an amazing partnership.
Yeah.
We also have a partnership with University of Laverne, which allows us to focus on the eastern part of LA County and really part of Riverside. We've gone out and raised $3 million to get that program off the ground. And we'll have our first cohort that'll go through that incubator starting in the spring of 2023. So again, all really focus on community, all located geographically in places where it would be considered an underserved community. And then we just go out and do the marketing and the recruiting and try to attract those businesses that need help.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of time and effort and resources spent on workforce development initiatives, particularly through our community college system. And I'm curious because, that's at the community college level. What about the middle school and high school level? I think we had this conversation many, many episodes ago. And what is the role and the opportunity for getting young people interested in entrepreneurship at an earlier age, and what are we doing to bring this opportunity to folks at that level? Yeah,
we've done some work over the last 7 years with Union Bank and the SBA on an effort called the Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge, where we go into high schools and middle schools in South LA and teach kids about entrepreneurship.
That's great.
So they go through about a 10-week training period, and at the end, they do a pitch competition.
Nice.
And the pitch competitions are just absolutely amazing. And, some of these kids come from, Title I schools where 55% of the kids are on free lunch.
Yeah.
And they come up with the most impressive ideas that you want to figure out ways of funding every one of them, but you can't. But, we give like $10,000 a year in support for some of these kids who have great ideas that want to start up a business.
And I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but any of these pitches that come to mind that you thought, wow, that was a great one? Anything? What give me an idea.
A couple years ago, we had a kid who was a valedictorian of her high school, and I can't remember the high school, but she had a hair care product called Kimmy's Curls.
Okay.
All organic. She did all the research on the different types of curly hair that
Oh,
African American women have.
Wow.
And the product, no matter what kind of hair you had, the product made your hair soft and shiny and things of that nature. Great idea.
Yeah.
Kimmy was valedictorian in our high school. She's in her 3rd year now at Georgia Tech.
Oh, wow.
She comes back every year and talks to the kids. It's just a pretty amazing program.
Yeah.
We're going to expand it next year to the San Fernando Valley as well.
Great.
So, we'll go from like 18 schools to 36. And my hope is, we'll have a program that we'll be able to run statewide at some point down the road.
That's outstanding. Well, this is our 81st episode. We should connect her with our 80th episode guest, Leah Diaz of the Jones Sisters of Hype Hair Magazine and Girl Cave LA. So that's a great connection right there. That's outstanding. I love stories like that. So, given your work in large corporate banking, the work that you're doing now with, in the micro space and underserved communities, what are your thoughts on key ingredients required for us as a region to build and sustain a thriving community of entrepreneurs, particularly women and minority entrepreneurs? And what role do you hope Impresario will play in that?
Support systems, number one. I think the capital piece is something that has been a challenge forever. As someone that came into the banking industry close to 40 years ago, the same issues we had then, we have now.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been enough movement to move the dial on the capital piece. So Impresarios are really an outgrowth of some of that. I came up with the concept of Impresario after some work that I did with another organization about 5 years ago, and some work that I did with the SBA in the Plum Initiative that came out of the Obama administration.
Right.
So crowdfunding, as an example, and most people know what crowdfunding is. It's the Kickstarter campaigns or the GoFundMe campaigns where you're going out to your network and you're raising money to, to support whatever you want to support. If you remember, Serving Spoon was in trouble during the pandemic, and they needed to raise, a couple $100,000, and they did. And their appeal was, we need to raise this money or we're not going to make it.
Right.
They raised probably twice the money that they needed to raise to sustain the business, and they're still going strong.
Down in Inglewood, right?
In Inglewood, yeah. So my thought was, I used the Serving Spoon as an example, or South LA Cafe as an example. They did something similar, where they raised money to support their business during the pandemic, and it actually helped them to sustain. So those two things those two businesses validated that having a strategy around crowdfunding could replace friends and family capital for a person that's starting a business. So that's where we want to go. You can have a campaign that's as little as $5,000. I think our sweet spot will be somewhere between 25 and 100. We're not able to do registered campaigns, but we have partners who we can refer you to. There is no cost for the training, and training is key in completing a campaign. So our secret sauce in Impresario is there are a number of training platforms that we've partnered with organizations to actually do the training needed to get people to successfully complete their campaigns. And actually 92% of the people who actually complete a training process are successful at generating their campaign. So we use an organization called the Local Crowd for some short-term training. I have my team doing some training as well. And then we use an organization out of Idaho called Crowdfund Better, which is more of a white glove training that's longer, but is very valuable. And I got to give Wells Fargo a plug. Wells Fargo actually gave us the money to support that training.
Yeah. And you mentioned an initiative that came out of the Obama administration, and so I'm going to throw a curveball at you here, given that she hasn't taken her role yet, but she is the mayor-elect for the city of Los Angeles. What message would you have for the incoming Bass administration, and what is the role that you would say the city can play in stimulating a positive entrepreneurial environment, particularly in underserved communities?
Yeah, the city has resources. So, Karen has experience, and that I think is the thing that I'm most excited about. She's been in government at the state level and at the federal level, and she's coming back as mayor, knowing what she knows at the state level and at the federal level. So the state has large resources to support entrepreneurship. The governor just a few weeks ago announced, a couple $2 billion that the state generated out of Build Back Better. I just like to make sure that there are carve-outs that target underserved communities because there's not enough attention paid to those communities. So Karen can probably credit her mayorship to some of those underserved communities that really went out and supported her. And I don't know Karen, which is kind of interesting. I know most of the politicians around, but I don't know her.
Well, you make it sound so familiar. You called me Mr. Gathers before. I
know.
Said, Dwayne.
I know.
And I would say Mayor-elect Bass.
Mayor-elect Bass.
You're sounding very familiar there.
Exactly. I'm hoping to get in front of her at some point.
Okay.
Just because I think some of the ideas that we have and that we're working on would work. There has to be sort of a simplification as well of processes, specifically with the city of Los Angeles. And as much as people talk about cleaning up the city of Los Angeles, the city is a government entity, and we have unions and other people that we have to deal with, and it's not going to be an easy job to clean those things up. But she's, I think, the person to do it. For sure.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing the progress that she makes as she sets up her team, and we certainly, hope and believe that there'll be a lot of attention played to, elevating the dynamism of our small business community and our underserved communities. So, Quentin, this has been a great dialogue, and we're really, grateful to share this platform with our listeners. But as we say on Civitas LA, the guest gets the last word. Any concluding thoughts or any calls to action you want to share with our audience?
Concluding thoughts. I'd like people to look at Impresario, and if you're interested in generating capital for your business, we have companies from all over the country now who are in the platform or actually going through training. We have 167 small businesses that are in the white glove training that takes anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks. We have a few organizations that actually have campaigns that are going. We just actually launched in September. We announced what we were doing in March as a part of International Women's Day because I had a team of people in Dubai doing some work with the Department of Commerce. But for me, the big deal is actually having people look at Impresario as an additional resource. So as you're thinking about, whatever your capital stack is to get your business going or grow your business, we can be an option. There is a documentary filmmaker in LA right now who will be our next big campaign, and she'll start it on December 1st. So we actually have people who are in the filmmaking industry who are coming into the platform and raising dollars. Everyone
needs money for films. And certainly I'm going to interject there and just let our audience know that they can find you at impresariobynew.org.
Exactly.
Well, Quentin, this has been great. This has been an outstanding dialogue. And again, we always appreciate being able to offer our guests resources to grow community and to grow their enterprises. So we look forward to having you, and perhaps Ms. B. Stotzer will join us in 2023 to discuss the progress that you're making. Thank you for joining us today. And to our audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. We hope you learned something new here, and we hope you will join us in 2 weeks as we look forward to yet another great civic conversation. So as we say on Civitas LA, until we meet again, stay strong and get involved. To learn more about Civitas LA and share feedback on this program, or if you have a recommendation about future programs, please visit our website at www.civitasla.com and connect with us on Facebook at Civitas LA, Instagram at Civitas_LA, and Twitter at Civitas_LA.